you've given us, Lord. But Lord, we just ask you to provide us with wisdom and courage and moderation, Lord, to do the great people of Georgia's work. In your Son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Representative Martin, if you want to come up,
Yes, sir.
right here is
That one
fine.
looks like somebody was mad at it. I'll set a number 3.
Okay.
Came on. I don't know if it operates.
And the quorum arrives as you get in the chair.
Yes, sir. Are you ready, Mr. Chairman? Yes. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. Bringing you this morning House Resolution 804. I have LC 500639. Unless the Senate has a substitute, can it change that with the one we're working off, Senator, the original bill? Mm-hmm. Thank you. This, if you were here a couple of years ago on Senate Finance, you saw this. This seeks, it has to be done through the Constitution, but it seeks to change how tax anticipation notes are paid, the end when they're due. Tax anticipation notes are particularly useful to school boards as a preponderance of their revenue comes from ad valorem taxes. Although other political subdivisions can use tax anticipation notes, it's defined in the Constitution how that process works. This does nothing to change the process. It simply says that they have to be paid back within 12 months rather than an arbitrary December 31st. Because, for instance, in our county, bills would normally go out late in the fall if for some reason the tax digest is not confirmed at the proper time, and that's delayed, and tax bills don't go out till late November, early December, and the school board, kind of a preponderance of things come together, leaves them short of a revenue reserve or whatnot. They would do a tax anticipation note on those taxes coming in. If they're not billed to December, they wouldn't come into January, so having to pay the note back on December 31st just doesn't do them a lot of good, because constitutionally they can't borrow other money to pay the note back. So what we're trying to do here is just give them flexibility. They still have to pay the note. They can't borrow money to pay the note. They just have to do it over a 12-month period, so that if those kind of 3 things, a bad time, late tax notices, late payments, all happen to them at once, they can protect themselves and keep our educators paid and our schools going. It's that simple, and I'll answer any questions.
All right. And back when I was a county commissioner, we actually built up a decent fund balance. This is about 2000, 2001, to where we had the money in the bank to get to November and didn't have to borrow the money. Interest rates were high then, so instead of paying $1 million in interest, we were making $1 million in interest. So that's what I would like our governments to do, but not everybody has a fund balance, I know, and I think this is a good bill.
Yes, well, I thank you, Mr. Chairman. You bring up a point. I think they keep it as short as they can. So giving them 12 months, they're going to still pay it back as quick as they can, because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay the interest. And this is a little bit like insurance. You have it out there, and you hope you never use it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Senator Hickman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Just to clear, this is no borrowing from the state of Georgia. This is just borrowing from commercial banks.
Well, wherever they would go in the bond market, or the public, they would not come to the state of Georgia for the money. No, sir.
Yes,
the Constitution already outlines the process of how these can be done, and the process that they have to. Senator may know, or Senator Calzert may know, being in the learned lawyer he is, about if these have to go through the bond validation process. But they're a bit of a revenue bond or a revenue loan, because they're against the revenue that comes from the tax notes that are billed. It's already limited to what percentage of their tax digest, their anticipated tax money can be, and they can't overextend, but it does not expose the state, Senator Hickman.
Yeah, I just want to make sure they were paying interest on the money, that's all.
Yes, sir.
Senator Calzert.
Chairman, I was thinking the reason we had the December 30th date was that's the time that the year's taxes have generally all been collected. I mean, these are kind of advances on anticipated taxes, and by the end of the year they should be. I mean, most counties are due, November, October, December. Wasn't that the original intent or the reason for it?
I think it was, sir, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think it goes back to our agrarian economy that taxes used to be actually even billed before they are now and due in the fall when the crops came in. I mean, just if we can go back that far. And that's still the hope, and that's still everyone's plan. But, you know, as Mike Tyson said, he maybe didn't say a lot of things I believe in, but the plan's all good till you get hit in the face. And some of our political subdivisions have been hit in the face financially in that they were in, as Chairman Hudstadler said, they were in a bad position, that they didn't have a revenue shortfall reserve. Their county tax commissioner didn't get the bills out until late November and December, and the money wasn't coming in January, and they were little bit worried of how to keep our teachers, you know, paid and so forth. So, but Senator, you're absolutely right. That this should be in normal operating procedures. These taxes should be collected on December 31st.
All right, and Senator Tillery.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. I understand this. I understand that the reason for the delay is sometimes the digest isn't able to be collected on time or turned in on time, or you end up with a delay where something that's supposed to run in the paper at 13-point font runs at 12.5.
Right.
So you end up with a month delay, and it pushes the collections over into January. So I understand why you're doing what you're doing. I don't have any problem with it. To answer the question about the bonds, I think you actually get a tax anticipation note by just going to the bank.
For the local
It's not
banks,
even-
you
yes,
bid it
there's
out,
no
yeah.
bonding. No
Okay,
bonding issues
so
with it,
I
so-
stand corrected. That's what I said. That's not
Right.
something, but that's prescribed in the current process,
Yeah.
and we're not changing that at all.
I wish we could take it and say like March or something instead, but I understand what you're doing to try to make things go forward, and with that, I'd make a motion to pass, Mr. Chairman.
We've got a motion from a former county commissioner and second from Senator Albers. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
And if
Get to your meeting.
Yes, sir. If it pleases the chair, Senator Albers would carry this to
I
the
saw
Senate
you
floor.
had him carrying it.
Thank you.
Good choice. All right, we will move on to the IRC. I think the other representative is still stuck here, and I told Representative Knight he's got a conflict in a Ways and Means. They're trying to send more bills over to us, and he wanted to be in that meeting, and I told him I think we could handle this without him. We've got DOR here if there's any questions. The good part is that we had that Congress did the least they've done in the last 30 years. They've been a do-nothing Congress for the last year. Because of that, for the first time that I know of, and was trying to check back 20 or 30 years, we have nothing to do to update the code other than to change the dates to match the Internal Revenue Code. Usually it costs us millions of dollars to try to conform to what they did, but this is the benefit of a do-nothing Congress, is it's not going to cost us any money since they did nothing. If you want to come up and speak on it, since you made the trip up here, you should at least come talk, I know. So, tell
you,
us
Mr.
for the
Chairman.
record who you are. And
My name is Jarder Gal. I'm a staff attorney in the Income Tax Policy Group at DOR. And thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. As Mr. Chairman said, this is a clean conformity bill. Nothing has happened in the federal tax legislation this past year in 2023, so it's a zero net change on this bill. And the reason we're still going to make this update, other than we do it every year, is just to let the Georgia taxpayers know that that the state of Georgia does look at its tax provisions and update it as needed to make sure that there's certainty in the tax code. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to assist.
Move to pass.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, you sold them.
All right, thank you.
And I believe he had Senator Hickman carrying this piece of legislation, the CPA to the CPA. Yeah. Okay. So we've got one more bill today. This was important to software and all like that to get moving on the IRC. We try to get it as quickly as possible. We've got one more bill today. Speaking of
I don't see Representative Thomas here yet. He's stuck in traffic, but I'll be happy to do that for him. And I think any questions that may ask, Tucker Green will probably answer.
So we've got another bill that we're trying to take care of for a House member that is,
Well, we just gotta
didn't plan to be here from traffic, I see, okay.
we just gotta keep propping them up.
All right, well, if you wanna discuss it, Senator Hickman, go ahead.
Yes, sir. This bill, I think it was actually last year, I remember Senator Albert was very involved in it, as I recall. I believe it was him. But they have really taken this and simplified it and worked very hard on it with GMA and ACCG. So I'm going to just kind of read the notes that we got, and it's very simple. So House Bill 461 does a few simple things to help lower the cost of regulatory fees and establish more consistency across the state, which is better for consumers. The main part of this bill would eliminate one of 6 methods jurisdictions can use to calculate regulatory fees and modify another. They can no longer charge a fee based on the cost of the job or percentage-based fees. It has nothing to do with the regulatory activity. The modification to Method 5 is that when using square footage and valuation data to determine the fee, it must be in conjunction with the widely accepted International Code Council formula for new construction projects and for extensive renovations. That revision was based on a compromise language negotiated between the construction trades and GMA and ACCG. A similar version of this bill passed the House, and a different version passed the Senate last year. This version is compromising language that was developed by the interested parties. And Mr. Chairman, if there's any question, I'd divert those to Tucker.
And I believe Tucker's been trying to do this for 2 or 3 years, but I think he's got ACCG and GMA neutral on this, agreeing to the changes. I see heads nodding. I'm not sure Senator Williams didn't get involved in this some way because I see funeral directors on line 45.
Tucker, why don't you come down?
He's everywhere.
Tucker, thanks for the work you've been doing on this for quite some time now. Question for you. Obviously, the language on lines 23 to 26 make perfect sense. Why kind of out of the blue have we added RIAs on line 13.1, or I guess it's line 43, it's 13.1, resident investment advisors? Seems kind of be a random ad in this bill. Oh, and here's the bill's author.
I hate to, I think I would have the answers on this bill for every other question you could have asked besides that one. That addition was not part of what we were trying to accomplish. I believe that was a substitute proposed, I think in conjunction with Chairman Hufstetter. He might.
I think there was some confusion on stockbrokers, not stockbrokers, and they were trying to clarify the language.
Yes.
Make sure it was consistent. So I think that's all it was on that one.
Okay, and then another question.
Go ahead.
And then final question, if you turn to page 4 in the back of the bill, the extensive renovation project value. Kind of take us through that for a moment, please.
Yes, sir. So one of the things that we were talking about in working with the cities and counties and trying to negotiate with what their needs were, what we were trying to accomplish was when we have very minimal renovation types of projects, somebody's going and replacing the tile in their bathroom or something to that nature. That type of regulatory activity is, pretty minimal. And so we were trying to get away from them utilizing square footage or cost of the job. So what we agreed with was they felt pretty strongly if it was what we defined as an extensive renovation project, where you're stripping a house or doing large-scale commercial projects and completely gutting the buildings, then they may have to take things into consideration like square footage and those type factors. So in talking with the construction trades, talking with the cities and counties, we came up with that $75,000 valuation. And basically what we determined was if it was a renovation estimated at $75,000 or greater, they could use that ICC formula in determining their regulatory fees. But if it was, a small renovation, if it was something minimal, if it was less than $75,000, they're going to need to use that flat rate or hourly rate or one of those other methods.
And I appreciate the thought process through that, just knowing that the increase in costs right now. I just had a neighbor get a kitchen done. It was more than $75,000. Mm-hmm. Is that threshold enough? That would be my only question.
You know, that was that was the number we came up with and all the parties that were negotiating. You know, it's hard to say what the perfect number is always, but that was the number we agreed to.
Okay.
If, you know, the committee feels that's too low or too high, we can certainly, you know, open to talking about that.
Thank you.
All right. Again, I think you guys did a good job of working this out amongst yourselves. Makes it a little bit easier on us. So if there's no other questions, we can have a
Move to
motion. Motion from Senator Albers to pass, a second from Senator, actually Hickman said it before you, Senator Hodges, but you got 2 seconds there. All in favor of this bill, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and who do you have carrying the bill?
Senator Hickman will be carrying the bill in the Senate.
Oh, man, okay.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Chair,
You-
I apologize for being late. For those that in this committee that know me very well, know that that's not normal. But unfortunately, Atlanta traffic got me this morning.
Well,
It
this
was
is our first impression.
Absolutely. First
They
impressions are
last.
lasting impressions, too.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And thank you,
All
committee.
right, thanks everyone
Thank
for
y'all.
being here for this meeting. Meeting adjourned.